Despite the unshakable Iowa Corn-Cyhawk rivalry, there is one thing Iowa State and University of Iowa fans can both agree on. Getting hyped for Unleaded 88. It's cleaner burning and better for your engine, and it's cheaper than other fuel options, making Unleaded 88 the clear fuel choice. If Iowa Corn-Cyhawk rivals can agree on it, you know it's worth the hype. So pump it up with Unleaded 88, grown by Iowa corn farmers.
Save big on all your back-to-school needs, all in the Baker's app. Get 5-pound rolls of delicious Kroger 73% lean ground beef for $2.99 a pound. Then get 3-pound bags of juicy Kroger Adorbs seedless mandarins for $2.99 each, all with your card and a digital coupon. Shop these deals at your local Baker's, less than 10 miles away. Or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Welcome, everyone, to Couch Potato Diary. It's Fights in Football Friday. This is the fighting portion. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Coming up on this episode, we are going to be looking at the fights that should be made after UFC 305. But first, AEW All In is this weekend. It is a full card preview. Let's get right into it. All right, AEW All In for the second year in a row, coming to you from Wembley Stadium out in England. So far, 10 matches have been scheduled. I imagine that will balloon to 157. But we're going to run through this. Not going to look at the pre-show. Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway against Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii. That is a fun... It'll be fun. It'll be fine. But I'm probably not going to spend a whole lot of time watching a 2-hour pre-show. Okay, so we go to the first match, and I'm just going in order on Wikipedia. Up first is Timeless Toni Storm against the Glamour, Mariah May. I think you have to have Mariah May get the win here. You have already established a top-level heel in your division, and you want to really make this push with her. So I think Mariah May has to get this victory here, get this moment at Wembley Stadium. The buildup for this has been good. It started out red hot and has admittedly cooled since then. And I mean, that is going to happen in situations like these sometimes where you start out with something hot. You hope that you're able to build it up a little bit. This was not the case. But still, I think this is going to be, I think it's going to get down to it. I think this is going to be a fun match. Overall, I think the build has been, like I said, fine. Didn't exactly crescendo or build up to a climax or anything like that. It just kind of like boom, and then they failed to really get that momentum. But these two, I think, have played their roles very, very well for sure. Like I said, I think Mariah May ends up getting the win in this bout. MJF defending the AEW American Championship against Will Ospreay. These two had a match a few weeks ago. It was tremendous, and now they look to build on that. And I think the obvious story coming in is will Ospreay use the Tiger Driver? And you have Bryan Danielson saying, like, just do it, man. Like, just do it. So that is going to be, I think, the major story. And at times that can feel a little bit hokey. It's been in every match where he's teased it and it's, no, I can't do it. That being said, the reaction for that move is going to be gigantic at Wembley Stadium on Sunday afternoon, for those of us out here in North America. Like, that is always going to be a big moment, I think, for this. In terms of the build, I think that they could have set up a few things a little bit better than they did. Like starting with the Daniel Garcia beatdown and all of that. Like, I get we had to get MJF in as like this bad guy, but I thought they could have established early on, like, I came back to pick up from your mess. As MJF's kind of thing, but then also just start to really needle away at the real reason for this feud, and that being that MJF is jealous of the attention and love that Will Ospreay is getting. And I think that you probably could have got into that more than just in the go home promo off in Wales. Still very good, very, very good, very long, but very good. But I thought you maybe could have built that a little bit more, but still, I think the build for this has been good. It has shown Will Ospreay to be a very strong character. And MJF, like I said, like the real American shtick, he doesn't need it. I think, quite frankly, he is too good for this sort of a story, but It's probably going to work, and it's probably going to lead to just an absolutely unbelievable match. And I do think Will Ospreay hits it, gets the win, and Bob's your uncle. He is the new, probably international champion as that belt goes through another name change. Coffin match for the AEW TNT Championship as Jack Perry defends against Darby Allin. This is one of the things that is frustrating here with AEW. I understand, like, you don't want to make anyone feel less than. You don't want to make anything feel less than. That being said, there needs to be a hierarchy for these championships. There needs to be a, like, okay, this is the Intercontinental title, this is the European title, this is the whatever, that there needs to be that kind of whatever. When you have MJF holding one belt, Jack Perry holding the other, and Kazuchika Okada holding the other secondary championship, they all kind of feel the same. And so there isn't really that, like, okay, well, now this one, you lose this, but maybe another win, and then you get to a championship or something like that. It's just all of these. And the TNT championship hasn't felt meaningful yet to me. And it's the one that's lasted the longest. It is a championship that they have put on a bunch of mid-card guys, but it has bounced around, and it's never really, I don't think, built anyone up, aside from, honestly, Brody, who was the big one to get that, and that one felt like it really did kind of elevate his stock a little bit. But aside from that, no one's gone from being at the Intercontinental title to the world title level with this TNT championship just yet. And so I would like them to kind of further establish what winning this championship actually means aside from you get a piece of hardware, right? I would kind of like it to be like, okay, this is the one for the next ones or something along those lines, right? So anyway, Jack Perry against Darby Allin. This has been pretty well built up. I thought Darby Allin's promo a couple of weeks ago was phenomenal and did an excellent job of kind of laying out like why he is so frustrated with this Young Bucks thing and this Jack Perry thing and the Elite. And it is so close to, like, this is how this whole thing with the Elite should have been from the beginning. It's like, we have created all of these things, so you're welcome. And then the AEW side is, well, you're kind of killing this thing and making it not what it was supposed to be, so stop doing that. But it has been a little convoluted with, okay, well, who is actually in charge? And why is Christopher Daniels making some matches, but the Young Bucks able to make some matches? And why is it this push and pull and some of those things? So Darby Allin kind of hitting on that leads you to believe that maybe we're getting in the right direction with this thing, but it's not all the way there. This match is going to be incredible. I think Darby wins. I don't see you beating Darby Allin in a coffin match here. Mercedes Moné against Britt Baker for the AEW TBS Championship. This one was hindered a little bit by Britt Baker being suspended and being, I think, somewhat limited in her role in this. And so that is, that has, like I said, it's just limited this. But I think having Camille in there is an interesting wrinkle to this. Like I said at the beginning of the week, this match is going to be phenomenal. Like, this is going to be another excellent, excellent match. It's just another one where we're saying that, but the build, it never really got out of first gear. I thought the promo battle they had at the contract signing thing on Wednesday was really, really, really strong. And I thought it really built things up quite well. But I think we needed more of that as this thing went along. Casino Gauntlet for a future AEW World Championship match. So far, we know that Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Hangman Page, Evil Uno, and Roderick Strong are going to be in this thing. I think there's a few ways you could go with this. Of those people in there, obviously Hangman would be the obvious pick. And then if Swerve wins at the end of the night, then you have clear and obvious whatever you're going to do. There's a couple other ones that I think would be fascinating. I think one would be Jon Moxley comes back, wins the champion, or wins that, gets a future title shot. Now he's facing Bryan Danielson, and maybe it's another, if I don't win this, I'm fine, I'm going to retire. And you have Moxley, who these two started as just blood rivals who just couldn't stand each other, but they bled together. And so now they're put into a tag team. And for AEW purposes, we'll ignore who did that because it's William Regal and he's not there anymore. But you have these two guys who just hated each other and just couldn't stand each other. And they became partners under this same kind of view of what the world of professional wrestling would be, it would be quite the full circle moment, excuse me, to then see Moxley be the one to retire Bryan Danielson, take the title from him, and kind of end Danielson's full-time run in AEW. I think if Wheeler Yuta was ready for that sort of a thing, that would be a really, really fascinating story. You could tell. Another one that I think you could do here is Konosuke Takeshita off of a phenomenal run. I'm saying phenomenal too much. Off of a great run at the G1, and then the last one I think is Ricochet. Ricochet comes in and sets up like he establishes himself right away as a main event guy, at least for one go around. Chris Jericho with Big Bill against Hook for the FTW Championship. If Hook loses, he can never challenge for the FTW Championship as long as Jericho is champion. So at least this championship has an identity. It's basically the hardcore match. This is going to be a big plunder matchup. And it will probably be at least a little bit fun to watch. But overall, this feud has not got me. This version of the Jericho learning tree, I think he's starting to try to like transition in and out of it. But it's either too subtle or not subtle enough. Like it's not really clicking in the ways that I would want it to. And so I think Hook wins this, and we start to see maybe a little bit more personality of Hook come out. But this has been a thing with Jericho feuds for a bit now, is that they always seem to go just like a beat too long, right? And this one just feels like, okay, fucking yeah, please just end it. And it's been that way with a few other ones that he has had. It goes on for one extra cycle too long, and it kind of overstays its welcome. Three-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team titles as the Young Bucks defend against FTR and the Acclaimed. I think this build has been good. I think it has done a very good job of showing an evolution in the Acclaimed. The one thing, like FTR have kind of felt like, I don't want to say afterthoughts in this, but the FTR with the Young Bucks doesn't feel special anymore. These two are, and when they get in the ring, they're going to be amazing together. I do not doubt that for a second. This match is going to be just blow away awesome. But I do kind of worry about like it's been overdone now a little bit, and just throwing the Acclaimed in doesn't help that, I don't think. I think the Young Bucks have to get the win here to continue this kind of elite rule over everything, and set up kind of one final clash with Tony Khan and whoever. But if the Acclaimed won and got the tag team titles back with this new kind of version of them, I wouldn't hate it either. Four-way London ladder match for the AEW Trios titles. It is the Patriarchy defending against the Bang Bang Gang, House of Black, and Pac and Blackpool Combat Club, which features Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. Pac and Blackpool Combat Club would be interesting to have them win this, and just like these titles have meant nothing to me for a long time. The Bang Bang Gang thing with the Acclaimed really took it out of me. And now the Patriarchy with it does nothing for me either. House of Black are great, but that feels like a bit of a retread thing, although I think they need a bit of firing up here a little bit. But Pac and Blackpool Combat Club, I think you would have an interesting relationship with Pac being in that group, and I think that they would be a whole lot of fun, and anything BCC has touched has really elevated. And that brings us to the main event. It is title versus career for the AEW World Championship as Swerve Strickland with Prince Nana defends against Bryan Danielson. And the big thing for this, for a lot of people, is, oh, you attach Bryan Danielson's career to it, and it's not believable. And I don't buy that for a second. I am 50-50 on how this is going to go. Because on the one hand, you do the video with Green Day. And Bryan Danielson has said before, like he doesn't want to sign another full-time contract. He wants to be at home a little bit more. And maybe that little bit more is just all the time. And so I absolutely buy that this could be his final go. And also it's a wrestling retirement, so really what? But I don't doubt for a second that Swerve Strickland retains the championship here. He has really, really found that groove again as this character and grown into being just the perfect version of himself. I've said before, like, this build has been great. I have dumped on a few other builds on this. This build has been chef's kiss, 10 out of 10, no notes. These two have brought out the best versions of each other. And I think that is going to continue in the in-ring product this weekend, with both of them having one of the matches of the year, I would suspect. I think Swerve Strickland, he is still deserving, I think, of being the champion. And so I don't know, because you have the stuff with Hangman and because he has been so good, I think you absolutely have an opportunity to continue on with the championship with him. With Bryan Danielson, that was a hell of a promo where he said he's the best fucking wrestler on the planet on Wednesday. But at the same time, like, that was a really good career retrospective. And this is a guy who is coming down to the end of this kind of last act of his career. And so I think it is a very, very interesting situation. At the end, I do think Bryan Danielson is going to win this match, but I think this build has been great. Overall, this show is going to be too long. We know that going in. But this show is going to be probably one of the better wrestling shows of the year. Okay, so that is our AEW All In breakdown. I am hoping to go live. Maybe not go live. I'm having some technical issues around here, but I am at least hoping to have a post show up Sunday night sometime, depending on how long AEW goes. I do have a fantasy football draft in the evening. And so whether if it kind of bleeds into that, then I'll have to do it after the draft. And if it doesn't, I'll just do it right away. And we'll see if technology helps me out and we can go live potentially on that. So we will see. All right, let's shift gears now. UFC 305 done. What should happen next? Let's talk about it as we look at the fights to make out of UFC 305. All right, UFC 305, done, gone, over. It's in the past. Now it's time to look to the future. What fights should be next for all the fighters on the main card at UFC 305? Well, let's look at it. First, Dricus du Plessis against Sean Strickland. I know there is talk of du Plessis moving up to 205 pounds to face Pereira, but I want Pereira to move up to heavyweight. Strickland coming off of a win after an L in the title fight. I wouldn't want to host a podcast with the guy. Don't believe most of the stuff he says, but I don't hate a title opportunity for him. Coming off of that win, he's won 2 out of 3, including, a gigantic one against Israel Adesanya. Izzy coming off of that loss. I have him against the Jared Cannonier Chao Baralov winner from this weekend. I said Izzy should get a tune-up fight. That probably won't happen. I think that this fight is a big win for whoever gets it. And so I think they are worthy of a shot at Adesanya. And then you either have Izzy. This would be, in terms of who he has fought, the closest thing to a tune-up fight he'll probably get. And so it's either he gets to get right or one of these guys has the biggest wins of their career. Kai Kara France, I have him going up against Brandon Moreno. A rematch from a loss that France had. It's just tough to put him ahead of Amir Albazi for a title shot when Albazi beat him. And so I guess you can do a rematch there and make another title challenger, but I think Albazi would have a pretty compelling case that he should just be the next title challenger there at 125 pounds. Steve Ursig against Manel Cape. Both have lost recently. I think you give Ursig someone below him in the rankings for now. Obviously things can get a little all over the place with Cape, but this should be a good fight to just kind of see where both of these guys fit in the division. Dan Hooker, I have him against Dustin Poirier. Poirier just lost a title fight. This is a chance to either reboot him again against a very tough fighter, or this is a chance now to really attach that rocket to Hooker and move him now into that next one's category at 155 pounds. He had a great performance on Saturday. I think he is now deserving of the biggest fight of his career coming off of that. For Mateusz Gamrot, I think a rematch with Beneil Dariush, and maybe I'm being a little bit lazy going the rematch route, but I think this is one that works. Both of them are close in the rankings, and it would kind of see, has Gamrot grown a little bit in the last couple of years? Like we saw, I think, a pretty serious advancement in his stand-up abilities in this fight against Dan Hooker. And so now something has changed. And admittedly, I think Dariush has dropped down a little bit. So this is a chance, I think, for Gamrot to maybe get that win back and move up, or for Dariush to establish, like, hey, look, I'm still that guy. Let's chill a little bit, shall we? Where are we? All right. Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I have him against Marcin Tybura. Tybura coming off of a loss the week before. Admittedly, I don't think either of these guys is going anywhere. So it's another fight on their contracts. One of them will lose and move further down the rankings and allow more relevant fighters to step up. That feels so mean to say, but I don't see it with either of these guys. And so just let them duke it out, have a big, fun heavyweight fight, and move on. Tai Tuivasa against Walter Walker. Walker won on the prelims at UFC 305. He is still very early in his UFC journey at 1-1, but Tuivasa doesn't need another top 15 fighter. The fact that he's still in the UFC top 15 after UFC 305, sorry, is mind-boggling to me. So I think you go with a kid who just had one of his first losses in a really, really long time, but is now coming off of a win on the UFC prelims. Let's give him Tuivasa. And this is either a soft landing spot for Tuivasa to get right, or again, it really does show that Tai has fallen off, and Walker is someone to at least look at in the heavyweight division. Carlos Paredes, coming off of his win over Li Jingliang, I have him against Chaos Williams. Called him out, so why not? Let's do it. That one makes the most sense to me. And then Li Jingliang, I have him against Michael Chiesa. Chiesa's coming off of that win over Tony Ferguson. I think he would want maybe something a bit more impactful to build off of that, but neither is in the top 15, and I think that it would be an intriguing fight. Lee doesn't really need like a huge fight, and so I think both these guys are kind of in the same ballpark right now. All right, that is going to do it for the UFC talk, and that's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have a lot of content coming up this weekend. Things got a little bit delayed throughout the week and then into today as well. So there's still going to be, I think, quite a bit more coming up this weekend. And the next week, the previews continue. Even though I'm going to be over on Sportsnet 960 for a few days, the previews are going to continue. So it should be a whole lot of fun. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Wherever you are consuming this, make sure you subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube. If you're doing that, make sure you like it. If you're listening, wherever you get your podcast, make sure you leave a review, and I will talk to all of you later. Have a great day, everybody.
Save big on all your back-to-school needs, all in the Baker's app. Get 5-pound rolls of delicious Kroger 73% lean ground beef for $2.99 a pound. Then get 3-pound bags of juicy Kroger Adorbs seedless mandarins for $2.99 each, all with your card and a digital coupon. Shop these deals at your local Baker's, less than 10 miles away. Or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.